everybody. Welcome into the Mountaineers Now Postgame Show. I'm Schuyler. Joining with me, as always, is Christopher Hall, co-publisher here on the site. West Virginia falling 76-62 to the number 3 rated Kansas Jayhawks. And before we get into our thoughts on tonight's game, let's go and take a quick look at the stats. Team stats. Shooting the ball not very well was the storyline this for West Virginia. 20 of 57 from the field, 4 of 20 from the three-point line, and 18 of 28 from the charity stripe. Rebounds 43-35 in favor of Kansas. Turnovers weren't as big of a problem tonight, but they did turn it over 11 times. The main storyline for West Virginia really in this one, outside of just the poor shooting as a team, was Eric Stevenson going 4 of 19 from the field, 0 for 5 from 3. He ended the game with 12 points. Grady Dick, 16 points and 5 assists, leading the Kansas Jayhawks. Chris, first couple of minutes, it looked like West Virginia was not only going to be able to hang around, but maybe end up winning the game. I mean, it was very, very early, first 3 or 4 minutes of the game. It looked like they came out ready to play, but they just collapsed after that. What led to that collapse?
I mean, Kansas going on and hitting a flurry of threes will really deflate your momentum a lot. Kansas could shoot. I mean, I said, I think everyone, even around Kansas, was surprised at their start. They've started slow in the previous Big 12 game, so it wasn't something. May just caught West Virginia by surprise a little bit. They are a good three-point shooting team. They're not extraordinary three-point shooting team, but when you start, I think it was 4 or 5, and then jump out. It was a 14-2 run, I believe, during that stretch. That's really going to deflate yourselves, and it really, West Virginia had that 6-2 lead, and 2 of those shots were tough shots. The first one was right down to Jimmy Bell, who got an easy look, but really after that, it was tough sledding. I know West Virginia picked up its first foul. It was like 10 minutes. They committed their first foul, and I kind of joked. I was like, well, they can't keep up with them. Kansas was so fast. They couldn't even keep up with them to hold them, to try to slow them down. So that Kansas team is really good. Looks like they may be finding their footing, but defensively, I think early on with those threes, they just gave them just enough space to let it rip. And man, when they hit, it was crazy. I think 5 threes from 4 different Kansas players. So when you get that kind of production from a team, that's hard to stop. And when they jumped out to that lead, I think West Virginia got down to 6 at one point. But outside of that, I mean, they just kept hitting a flurry of threes.
Yeah, towards the end of the first half, West Virginia went on a 7-0 run and really kind of cut the game down a little bit. Looked like they were going to have a chance to get the ball one more time, but for some reason, the ball went out of bounds. Looked like it went off of a Kansas player. They kept the ball for Kansas. They ended up scoring another basket or stretch that lead out. I mean, how critical was that? And then obviously the start of the second half.
Yeah, I mean, it was a tough break. And you could say, then being able to get that ball back on that offensive rebound, it looked like he got pushed in the back. Was completely taken out of the play. So it was a tough break. You're still only down 7 in the first half. Coming out, and Kansas went on another big run because West Virginia started 2 of 16 from the field.
Yeah.
When you shoot like that, you don't have a shot. You don't have a chance to win the game. There were some good shots. They didn't. They're still not taking advantage of the numbers in their pick and roll game. It's there. I think a lot of it is, you're asking guys like Conklu, Bell, and Muhammad Wagi to do things that they're just not capable of doing. Bell's been around, but he just hasn't learned it yet. They haven't learned to move the ball when they get it to back to that corner. There's guys open because there's 2 guys going on the one. You have the numbers game. And once you start them thinking about the outside, that's when the inside opens up. So they're just not seeing it. I'm sure they're seeing it on film, but on court, they're just not seeing it. They get the numbers offensively, and then the ball stops. So they just got to keep the ball movement, keep running offense. I think I say it it's been 3 games in a row that I've said just move the ball. But again, you got to credit Kansas because that was a very quick team. It just seemed like their feet never hit the floor, really on both ends. They were so fast.
Yeah, the second half offense was very, very bad. I mean, it got ugly in a hurry. It's kind of let the game balloon open to a 20-point lead. Eric Stevenson, 4 of 19 from the field, 0 of 5 from 3. We already touched on it a little bit in the opening there with the stats. What is going on with Coach Stevenson? Do you feel like he was trying to press a little bit too much, trying to make up for what the technical fouls of the last 2 games? And do you feel like that pressure may have got them? Because it looked like he took a lot of low percentage shots tonight, too.
Seems like him and the team just didn't play with that same edge they had been playing with previously. Eric talks a lot of trash on the floor. He did not tonight. For obvious reasons. He got picked up a couple technicals. But he's got to find a balance because he did not look the same and the team didn't look the same. He rubs off when he's jumping up, firing down, it rubs off on the rest of those guys. They got to find a way to gain that edge back. And it just seems like everything around them suffered. They were a step behind. Again, maybe that's just Kansas being fast, but it just didn't seem like the same West Virginia team. And, Huggins knew what he got with Stevenson. They would let him loose. And, I kind of thought there in the last 12 minutes of the game, I was like, just let him rip. Bring out his alter ego. Let it go. Just let him go play because you could just see, even in games where he started off slow, he got hot later in the game, or he was, just like he did Monday night, ripped off 3 straight threes. He wasn't playing all that well up until then, but he ripped off 3 straight threes, quick 9 points, but immediately gets a technical. And then a minute and a half, 2 minutes later, he fouls out because he picked up that extra foul. So got to find a balance because it was not the same kid that we've seen throughout the first half of the season.
Yeah, and we've talked about it many times before and in years past. Like, if you got a guy that is going to get you points, 15, 20 points a night, and he's struggling, just tell him to keep shooting it. That's the only way you're going to get out of it, is to keep shooting it and try to regain that confidence. Lastly, before we get out of here, obviously, West Virginia did look a little different tonight because Keedy Johnson was not in the lineup. He was out with a concussion. Joe Toussaint filled in, 8 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists. What did you feel like that lineup looked like tonight without Keedy, and how that kind of affected the bench as well?
I think Keedy could have done a little bit better staying in front of Kansas, but they had a little trouble early with the bigs cutting underneath the screen. So he's going to help. Obviously, he's a senior. He's going to be a guy that's going to keep it steady for you on both ends of the floor. He brings minutes. I don't know if he's that big of a difference. I just kind of attribute to this loss as they lost their edge. Maybe Key brings that back a little bit because he does play tough-nosed defense, get under guys' shirts. Maybe they don't start off as hot. You can kind of play that what-if game and all over the place. You can take it many, many different directions. So is what it is. It's part of the game. Saw it last year when Taz went out. You got to find. Key's not your offense. So he's kind of your defense, but he's not all of your defense. That's a Kansas team. I don't think you want to lose by that much. I know this final score looked a little better than what it was when it was 20 points, but I'm not sure if, West Virginia just really played that bad, if Kansas is that good. But Kansas is good. That's pretty good basketball. They are fast because it just seemed like their feet never touched the floor. So Bill's got himself a very athletic Kansas team that can shoot, and obviously see that they can shoot and get hot. So I think they were just a shade under 40% coming in. So I think they helped their average out tonight.
Yeah, I would say so. West Virginia losing 76-62 to number 3 Kansas. We'll be back on Wednesday night when West Virginia hosts the return of former Mountaineer Jalen Bridges and the Baylor Bears. That's going to be a big key game for both teams.
They just fell to 0-3.
Yeah,
they lost to overtime.
Both teams are pressing. They definitely need a win, sitting at 0-3 in league play. Surprisingly, Baylor's 0-3. I don't know if West Virginia is as big of a surprise, but this is a big one for West Virginia. They cannot afford to fall to 0-4 in Big 12 play. So Wednesday night, 7 o'clock, West Virginia Baylor. We'll have it here for the Mountaineers Now post-game show for Christopher Hall and Callihan. Be sure to hit that subscribe button on YouTube at Mountaineers Now and follow us on Twitter at Mountaineers Now as well. Thank you for watching. We'll see you guys Wednesday night.